Such a big deal that my entire family knows you, and they were talking about you. So big shout outs to my uncle Lionel that knows you as well.
Great man.
He says great things about you. And right now,
Lionel's become like an institution, not only in St. Lucia and the Caribbean.
Really?
Yeah, for the ham.
Okay.
Ham radio.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's huge in that. Even when countries have had hurricanes, the first person they call is Lionel to get their communication systems back up running again. But he's an amazing man.
Wow. I know his name. Whenever I'm in St. Lucia, I say his name, and now I'm going to say your name. I'm going to drop names. I love St. Lucia. I love everything about St. Lucia. But let's talk about more of what you're working on right now.
We lost the elections in 2021.
Right.
So the first year was really reconnecting with my family. Because it was very, very, very difficult. When we came in, we came on a mandate of building a new St. Lucia. And so there was a lot of procedure and process changes that we were bringing to the government. And change, it's funny, it's the word that's probably the most often used when you talk about politics. But I always say that people vote for change, but they don't like change.
This is true. I think in life, change is hard.
So it's hard. And then we had COVID.
Right.
And, COVID was obviously unexpected. I was very fortunate, if there is ever a time you could use that word, fortunate, in that I was the head of Air Jamaica marketing and sales when we had 9/11.
Wow.
And I say that because I knew that the airline industry could stop and that we would have no flights. I understood that physically could happen and what it would take to reemerge and how much money the airlines would have lost and what was going to have to happen behind the scenes. I was the Minister of Tourism when we had the major recession, global recession, in 2008 to 2010. And then I was the Prime Minister during climate change. And during climate change as a Prime Minister, we understood what the World Economic Order could do and could not do in our support. And so COVID was really all three of those things wrapped up. And we adopted a policy in St. Lucia as early as April of 2020, which was coexist with COVID. We just felt that we were too small, we were too vulnerable, and we couldn't afford to shut our borders. So by June, we had reopened our borders and found protocols that we could put in place that allowed us to reopen. And I was really proud that we reopened, and between June and October, we had 28 cases and no deaths.
Oh, wow.
Right, pretty amazing.
How do you do that?
Look, the staff that were going to work at the hotels had their own transportation. They showered on property. They left their uniforms on property. We had curfews in place locally, and we only opened up certain tours, and we learned to walk again, and then it grew. And St. Lucia by 2021 had more tourism arrivals in that year than Barbados, which Barbados is normally 30-40% ahead of us.
Right.
And so the protocols really did work, and it gave us a head start. And look, the advantage for a small state was planes couldn't fly anywhere, other than Canada, which you guys decided to take a hiatus from the world.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Shut down completely.
Ruined 2 of my summers, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
I mean, I still had a chance to enjoy. I can't imagine being a prime minister of any country, and all of a sudden you have something like COVID hit. You have the responsibility of it's almost like tell me if I'm wrong. It's almost like when you have children, it's you have to step up and be that mom or that dad and really represent. But it's also this protective state that you probably go into. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine all of that on your shoulders.
Well, what made it even more difficult in St. Lucia is our dependence on tourism.
Right.
So our economy contracted by 24% in that year. Government's revenue, which was around $110 million a month, dropped to 45 and 50 million.
Wow.
And yet your expenses went up because all of a sudden you had to put all these protocols in place. So there was this huge gap with no reserves, right? So it's not like we had a central bank that we can just go and print money. We had no reserves. And so we had to turn around and borrow money. Look, simple things. I remember negotiating with the banks to put in place a moratorium once the airlines stopped flying, because 14,000 people were going to lose their jobs.
Right.
And then with tourism, it's not only the persons who were working directly in the industry, but the tour guides, the bus drivers, the public transportation drivers, because tourism fuels the entire economy. And if, in fact, we had not put a moratorium on for loans for a period of time, imagine all those persons would have been calling my home mortgage, my car loans, my student loans. Everybody would have just gone into panic mode, which would have made it even more difficult. So there are a lot of things in a small country
Right.
that you have to take into consideration to make this thing happen.
Right. I can imagine that. What did you like the most? What did you enjoy the most during your time as Prime Minister in St. Lucia?
We took independence in St. Lucia to another level. So we used to just celebrate independence. And so patriotism was there, but it wasn't really at a peak level. And so we took independence to bring up people's level of patriotism. And we, raised the flag. We did the fireworks in the harbor. We created events only with St. Lucians, and it became this huge St. Lucian festival.
I love it.
And it was how quickly people embraced that. And then we had clearly we were known for our jazz festival. We turned the jazz festival into a summer festival. So we had the Roots Festival. We had pure jazz.
I went to that, the Roots Festival. Ashanti, Ja Rule, Beanie Man, Morgan Heritage.
Pigeon Island.
You need to bring that back, please.
Yeah, and Pigeon Island is an amazing, amazing venue.
It is.
We're really hoping that we can make it into a world class venue.
I loved it.
And then Jean Creole, which I mean,
Okay.
if there's ever an event that you can go to, that really is it. And spreading out Jean Creole and promoting our own lifestyle. So again, Carnival was huge because we had so many artists that were performing at international level. Ricky T and Tedison, the Denry Segment guys.
Oh, yes.
And so the idea was to use that as a platform to promote our own music, which was becoming really global. I think it still has a lot of growth potential.
Definitely. St. Lucia's a vibe. And like you just mentioned, the artists, there's a lot of St. Lucian pride, which is nice. When you go to an island and there's so much pride and love within that island, you feel it in St. Lucia. And it's very warm. Everyone's very loving. The food is so good. What is the national dish in St. Lucia?
Well, we have several, saltfish and green fig, which is funny. And
Yes,
it
that's
has
my
Canadian roots to it.
Because it's saltfish, right?
Yeah, I'm a big souse and black pudding man myself.
Uh-oh. You are?
I am.
Can you make it? No.
No, but I can certainly eat it. It's so enjoyable. But look, the big thing that we're doing in St. Lucia, we used to call it village tourism. The new government calls it community tourism, but it's in essence the same thing.
Right.
And the idea of building infrastructure in all these wonderful villages that we have, and each one has its own roots. So we have African roots, we have Carib roots, we have French roots, we have British roots, and the idea is to take those different genres and infuse them into our local tourism product. And Airbnbs are becoming very hot. So a lot of solutions have embraced that. So the idea was to fix up the infrastructure so that what you have on Friday night in Gros Islet would be...
I did that too.
There you go.
Wait a minute. I've done a lot in St. Lucia. I did the Friday night street fest. Listen to me. That is a vibe.
That's a vibe.
And the food, and Ritz, you would love it. The DJs are like, like usually when you do a street fest, there are DJs, but they're like in the back kind of thing. Mm-hmm. No, the DJs are on the road. Like it's like, it almost feels like a DJ competition / festival / juve /
and lots of good food.
Party. And the food, can we talk? The food, the fritas, like everything. I'm just like, the food. I love it. You know what? You're going to make me want to go to St. Lucia now. So let's talk about why you're here in Toronto. What brings you to the city?
So actually, I went to school here.
Oh, okay.
Not in Toronto itself. I was a Montreal boy.
Okay.
And my son is actually up graduating from high school this weekend. So I'm coming up to see him.
Beautiful.
And then also the United Workers' Party has opened up a caucus here. And so we're opening up caucuses for your listeners. United Workers' Party is my political party, the one
Okay.
that I'm affiliated to. And we recognize the incredible importance of the diaspora in the development of our country. So even in terms of remittances, which people, live on, but more importantly, I think that they need to have a say, and we need to have the ambition where we can grow our country, where our St. Lucians living in the diaspora are now conflicted that they want to come home. That's when I know that we're going to be putting together a successful development program in our country, right? And there's too much talent that we have that's over here, that we're lending to Canada for a period of time.
Right, that's a good way to put it.
Right, and that we think it's time for them to start coming back home and contributing to our country. Because, look, I think that people after COVID started realizing that quality of life matters.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I have a cousin who's Lucian. The Ellis side. He's from Miami. He lives in Miami, and he goes back and forth. His dad passed, and he took over the home. He's fixing it up. My grandfather just passed a month ago, and he sold his St. Lucian home before he passed. But I think many of us from the Caribbean are looking to connect with our roots back home, and you got to look at it, retiring, or just even COVID changed everything. Before it was like, what am I going to do when I retire? Now it's, what am I going to do to live? What am I going to do to feel happy? How easy is it for someone to go to St. Lucia and pick up and move there if you're not St. Lucian?
Very easy.
Or to work abroad? Are there programs?
Yeah, look, we have a great act that we passed called the Headquarters Act.
Okay.
Which allows businesses to open up a headquarters in St. Lucia. You have to have at least 10 people, either from St. Lucia or from abroad.
Right.
They work income tax free. It's corporate tax free. All the products you bring in are duty free. And again, that's to support CEOs and senior executives that want to now live abroad because they can now work remotely.
I love it.
Now, the big focus is improving healthcare, improving the education system, improving the infrastructure. Because again, a St. Lucian living now in Canada or in the States or anywhere else starts appreciating the importance of infrastructure and what it means to the quality of life. So I'm sure you would be like many other persons if you came to a place and the broadband was just skipping on you all the time and became a pain in the butt, right?
I'd be peace out.
Yeah, you'd be so frustrated.
Exactly.
Right, because you're accustomed to moving at warp speed. And technology has improved so much so that a small island state that couldn't necessarily afford to have done those things now is in a position. So we have the benefit of great temperature, great views and being on the ocean and away from it all. But the technology allows us to, or allows people to stay connected with the rest of the world. And I think that that's another aspect of the diaspora that's so important, is to get persons to appreciate that these are things that you can't fight anymore. So we still have some people back home who don't want to see progress.
Right.
Right. And are scared of any form of change and modernization, and not realizing that we got to compete on a global basis. And technology, if you use it right, can enhance the qualities you have. And it's about self-esteem. Once you have self-esteem as a country, then you should not be scared of exposing your citizens to other things in life, because they will always appreciate the qualities that you have.
Definitely. And you're right. You have to, the island is world class. Let's build it up. Do you miss being the Prime Minister of St. Lucia?
Sometimes, but at the end of the day, we have a democratic process,
right.
and it's there for a reason. So I'm playing a very different role as a leader of the opposition,
right.
and I think that we're doing things that have never been done in that post before.
Got you.
And I'm challenging a lot of persons in St. Lucia, civil society, individuals, to understand our Constitution and appreciate some of the things that are written in the Constitution.
Got you.
So civil rights and democracy, something that you guys practice really well up here.
Right.
And if the Canadian government or central government attempts to take away any of those things, there's a huge uproar we have not reached that. We're still
Right.
development of our individual rights, and the something to benefit everyone. But I keep saying to the civil society, you cannot acquiesce your role in the development of our country.
Right.
It's not the domain of politicians by themselves. So I think that there are positions and comments and interviews that I can do as the leader of the opposition that would be very difficult to do as a prime minister.
Got you.
So I'm grateful for both roles.
Yeah, it's like when you work for a company, there's some things you can say, and then when you're not, there's some things you can do, right? Everywhere has their boundaries. Well, I got to say this. You are making St. Lucians proud on the text lines. There's a lot of shout outs, a lot of love. There's even one here from Mr. Monty that says, tell Mr. President to run for Toronto mayor. Mr. Monty, I love you guys. A Dime says, y'all are making me want to visit St. Lucia. Vito says, wow, this guy has got it. Why change anything? You're amazing. Ikema says, big shout outs. Flow Guy says, I love the vibes. You are making Lucians proud, so thank you so much for joining us. Are you on Instagram, on social media? How can they contact you?
I am on both. So please, either through United Workers Party or through Alan Chastanet.
Okay.
Either one. And I also want to just really give a big shout out to a lady, Julian Alfred.
Okay.
Who is a young lady who very difficult route in life. Grew up from very, very humble beginnings and had a dream to be an Olympian.
Wow.
In the 100 meters and the 200 meters. And she left home at the age of 13 and went to Jamaica, which, that's, if you want to be an athlete, that they have an amazing program at the high school level. And she did that, and she went into University of Texas. And over the weekend, she won for the second time the 100 meters and the 200 meters for the women.
Wow.
And big up to the Texan Longhorn girls for winning the NCAA championships as a team as well. But she has made us all so proud in winning those events. And again, the humility in which she's practicing. And I know that this is a young lady who has an amazing career ahead of her. And she should be an inspiration to a lot of young people that she just remained focused, continue to believe.
Right.
She blocked out. I mean, when I tell you block out, you meet this young girl and you talk to her and she's just focused, right? And then the term refuse to lose, she has that in spades. And I think that she's going to do a lot to help get persons to know about St. Lucia, because we've really only been known up to now for our two Nobel laureates. But we do have a great art form in the Dennery segment music, which is very unique.
Right, I like
and
it.
making impact in the world. And persons like Julian, and we have so many other athletes. We just had Darren Sammy, who just got made coach of the West Indies team. And people say, well, he doesn't really have any coaching experience. Well, he has the most important part, was leadership. It was under his captaincy that the West Indies won the 2020 global championships, So he has it. I think that he's going to make a positive impact. And so I love to see when St. Lucians are doing that. Tennyson and his new songs, Ricky T, I love seeing the new revival that's coming out through him. And so there are so many other St. Lucians on the global stage that are performing. And I just hope that we can continue to foster and develop an environment back in St. Lucia to make them happen. And that's why the festivals matter.
Yes.
Right? And creating the platforms. I used to really hate it as a person being involved in St. Lucia, where I would see that we would put our artists on shitty stages. Excuse me, I hope I can say that.
No,
really
you can't,
bad
but it's
stages,
okay, Prime Minister.
Bad stages, and poor lighting and poor sound.
Right.
Versus, letting them perform at the best. And we can. I mean, you're from the Caribbean, right? We can do as well as everybody else. And I'm proud of the contribution that we have made, not only St. Lucians, but West Indians.
Agreed.
And I'm grateful that Canada has allowed now us to get access to visa-free entry into Canada. And I want to continue to encourage the government that we are friends to you. Canada, the Caribbean, and Mexico are the three borders of America.
Right.
And what we do is we allow our policy, we allow America to meet with us individually, and we have never met as a group to discuss America. And knowing that the leverage that we have and that we control the three borders of America. But West Indians, it is your time to rise. I think when people, I'm going to end where you started.
Right.
When you close your eyes
Right.
and you think of somewhere you want to go, it is definitely the West Indies.
Definitely. Thank you so much. You're making St. Lucians proud, Caribbean people proud. Keep, working hard, and we support you. Thank you, Ross. Thank you so much for coming in.
And thank you. I'm going to just say that, not to be controversial,
Sure.
but I've moved away from the word Caribbean.
Okay. What do you use?
West Indian.
West Indies.
And the reason for that is there are too many people who have bastardized the name Caribbean.
Right.
So now I see Colombia using for Cartagena, using Caribbean.
But that doesn't work. We all know that's not Caribbean
Cancun is
people.
Cancun is
Do they
using
use?
Caribbean.
Do they?
Yeah. So
Listen
I
to
think
me.
so. We need to really protect our vibe.
Yeah. They can't take our vibe.
There you go.
They can't take our vibe.
All right.
I was just on a boat, and there was two girls from, where are they from? Somewhere south. And somebody said to me, "Why aren't they moving?" I thought and I'm like, they're not from the Caribbean.
You can see it a mile away.
You can see the vibe.
Once
you
you see
can.
the smile and
you
the
can,
move, you
yeah,
gotta-
you could try to duplicate the sauce. It will not taste the same.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very, very much.
I can't wait to, see and hear what you're working on, and I would love to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to speak to your girlfriend, Sibel, and really see what
Yes.
you were up to when you were in St. Lucia. I'm going to make sure I get some photographs. I'm going to share them with Ritz so that he can
What?
maybe surprise you one day.
I know we have a lot of people in common.
Yes.
Of course, Mia Motley.
She's the best.
Yeah, you're in Barbados a lot, I take it?
Yep, amazing prime minister.
Right.
I was a pleasure working with her on the international stage, both
Amazing.
as a woman and in terms of what she's doing to defend the West Indies and protect ourselves. She's done an amazing, amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can't wait to have you on again.
Look forward to it.
All right, take care. Right now, we